Fishing trips anywhere, anytime. FishingBooker.com. Want to plan your next fishing trip without the hassle? FishingBooker.com is the best way to find and book a fishing charter anywhere in the world. Whether you're chasing trophy fish or just looking for a family day on the water, Fishing Booker makes it simple, fast, and secure. With thousands of experienced guides, verified reviews, and 24/7 customer support, Fishing Booker takes the guesswork out of planning. Visit FishingBooker.com and book your trip today. Fishing Booker. Fishing trips made easy.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
The road we had talked about last podcast heading to Maryland. Well, that's where we are going for opening day. So for all of you guys following along, we'll have a good episode after this one on our hunt in Maryland. So this is your boy East Coast Trev, and we are in the mobile station with the Madman.
What up?
What up, buddy? Thanks for picking me up.
Yeah, I couldn't let you hitchhike all the way to Maryland, buddy.
Could you imagine? I'd try it.
Take a Uber?
You think?
A Uber?
Like Dad would say, a Uber? Oh, dude. I'm excited, dude. This was a state that we didn't think that we were going to hunt this year. I mean, I had thought about it, and I had plans to do it, but I'm glad that you decided you want to go, sis. I think it'd be a little bit more fun.
Yeah, it definitely was not on my radar this year, but, that early opener kind of enticed me. It's like, nothing else is open, so why not? It's a holiday weekend, so you get that extra day with no vacation day, so it's like, let's do it.
And the thing is, too, it's like you sit on social media and you watch these guys just plank them left and right, and you're like, dude, I got to get in on this. Like, this is what it's all about. Like, we need to be there. And
yeah.
And you know what? It's funny, this spring, it seems as if green up has happened a lot faster than it has in the past years, especially for us in the north.
You think so?
I do. Seeing the grass grow the way that the grass is growing, the barberry bushes are starting to get green here in Connecticut. I mean, you can see the barberry bushes. Actually, driving to you today, I saw my first ramp patch.
Oh, yeah. I saw a post on social media the other day on a foraging page of a bunch of ramps, and I was like, yeah, it is that time, isn't it?
You don't think that it's that time, but it is, dude, and it's coming a little quicker than we had actually expected. And with this year, with it being that we're not opening until the 30th in Connecticut, I'm a little nervous.
For what?
Because it's a little bit later.
That's all right.
I mean,
let Big Tom get it in before he gets removed from the population,
That's true.
Let him go out with a smile.
So what's your thoughts, going into this as far as what's your expectations coming from this trip?
I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how the pressure plays out because we're kind of like surrounded by a bunch of states that are also not open yet. So I'm anticipating a lot of other non-Maryland plates running around, as well as Maryland residents, right? But, the fact that we're going up a day early and have a day to scout, that's going to help. And I think we should just find as many – I've done a ton of e-scouting, so I've got a bunch of pins to check out. I think it's just tomorrow, just try to find as many gobblers as we possibly can and get them pinned. And then once the opener comes, we're just going to have options and backup plans after backup plans and – no bird next cut.
Yeah, that's really kind of the big thing there is that we're going to hunt like we hunt back at home.
Yeah.
Being in the mountains and
maybe even possibly faster pace, right? Like there's no way we're going to not we're going to go to places and there's going to be a truck there and we're going to have to be able to just all right, where's the next spot and just keep moving and cover as much ground as we can. Not that I'm against it, but having a noon cutoff is going to be a factor, right? Like, I'm cool with a noon cutoff, but that's a factor, right? Like, we got to keep moving and get in as much as we can before 12 o'clock.
And only having the 2 days to hunt.
Right. So it's like 2 half days, really.
2 half days to get it done, and then turn around and be home for Easter for the family. So, no, I think it's going to be a good trip. I'm looking forward to it, and just hearing them birds gobble and having a shotgun in the hand, I think it's going to be the fun of it. You know? I think it's gonna come together. I really do. There's enough land, there's enough ground, there's enough birds.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the terrain too. Like, not that we're flatlanders by any means, but we're definitely hunting some mountain birds this weekend.
Yeah.
So that's going to be fun to, figure out where the birds are. Whether it be like finger ridges or in the bottoms or whatever, and then key in on that and like use the terrain. It's basically the same terrain we hunt at home, but just
bigger. Yeah. And it's funny and I know Kat's kind of out of the bag. We were talking about terrain and mountains and stuff, and I've hunted the state before, but it was in the the lowlands, right? And when you hunt those lowlands like that, and it being so flat and open, it definitely made it a lot tougher, because not being able to make a move on those birds because they can see from such a far distance away. But that's the good thing about travel hunting and going to different states and learning and understanding and going through and just just moving along. Just running and gunning and learning from your mistakes and trying it on the next one. So I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be a good time. Looks like the weather's going to hold off. The weather's going to be a little bit good. We're going to be 40s at night, 60s during the day. I mean, it's turkey killing weather. So,
yeah. The good thing is we haven't figured out anything we forgot yet. I'm sure we forgot something.
I hope not.
I think we got everything. And another thing too, I don't know who came up with the term minimalist, but I don't think it's a real thing. Like, does it actually exist? Because
no.
I love the idea of being a minimalist and like going bare minimum, but like all said and done, it's like you always end up with more shit than you need, or you pack everything you need, and you're like, God damn, like this is a lot more than I thought we were going to be packing.
Well, it's funny is that we had talked about living on peak refuels and dehydrated meals for this whole entire trip. And if you really think about it, when you're doing it for that many days and that much stuff that you're actually bringing, what are you really not bringing? The grill?
Yeah. Well, that was big for me, not bringing the grill, and the propane.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely, but you're still, the truck's still packed.
Oh, yeah, we're packed.
Packed.
Yeah.
And we're only going to be hunting 2 days, down there for 3.
Well,
so, like,
we're camping, too.
We are
So
camping.
that's a difference, too, right? Like, if we were getting hotel rooms or staying at a lodge or something like that, half the shit we brought we wouldn't need.
We wouldn't need a tent. We wouldn't need a pop-up. We wouldn't need this. We don't need that, yeah.
So.
It is true.
But
it's table.
It's funny, too. I didn't get a table, I didn't tell you.
So there we forgot it.
Walmart screwed me. I tried to do that, like, next day delivery or like Amazon's version of Walmart.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, perfect. I'll just order this table, and it'll come tomorrow. Yeah, I ordered it. It's not coming till tomorrow.
Oh.
So, no table. It's all right. That's what they make tailgates for.
That's exactly what they make tailgates for. And totes and whatever else.
Yeah, we'll be fine. I'm looking forward to it, dude. I'm looking forward to, like, a camping weekend and hunting out of the truck and, just
running and gunning.
Getting out of town and new terrain, new views.
Have you checked in with Lane?
I talked to him yesterday.
Okay. He's still on track?
Yeah, he's going to roll into town Friday night, maybe. I don't think he'll get there before the sun goes down, but he will be there. No, Thursday night.
Thursday night.
Yeah.
It's no scouting day for him.
No. I told him I'll try to drop a pin for him.
Nah, not going to happen. Sweet. Yeah, we'll drop him the pins when they're all dead. That's it. So.
I'm sure we'll find some birds, man. It's just, like I said, we're just going to have to it's going to be fast-paced, and I don't think we should spend a lot of time dicking around with something that's not working.
Yeah, if they're not gobbling, we're not sitting. We're moving. Yeah. We're on to the next one.
No bird, next cut.
I guess a little bit more of my style hunting, Stevie.
Yeah.
Get ready.
Oh, you just hold on. You haven't seen nothing yet.
Oh, it's what keeps it good, keeps it entertaining. No, and this podcast that we have here coming is with Nick Jefferies from Custom Antler Design, and talking about Western hunting and the different types of hunting that he had gone through. I know, and we're doing this little intro on turkey hunting, but it's virtually the same thing, travel hunting and getting after it. So, and failures and whatnot. So we're hoping for a good weekend. We really are. So we'll keep this short and sweet. We'll get through the sponsors. And
I forgot we were doing an intro. I thought we were doing a whole episode.
Oh, a whole episode? No, that's the ride home, kid. So we'll thank the sponsors, and we'll kind of get this thing right on rolling for you guys, and get on to Nick Jeffries. So without further ado, title sponsor is Bowtech. Refuse to fall. If you guys aren't using a Bowtech, make sure to go and shoot one. At least give it a shot. Give it a try. And, make sure to use that promo code Outdoor Drive when you're buying your new Bowtech, and tell them Caleb said that they get a free case. So make sure to use that one there. Also, we have Huntworth, huntworthgear.com. For you guys looking for that early season stuff. They have some really cool stuff over on their website for early season hood stuff. Comes real fast, so make sure to get on there and order that for any of your outdoor apparel. Get more for less with Huntworth. Fourth Arrow camera arms. We're looking forward to using the monopod for the first time and deploying that bad boy this weekend. So if you guys are looking to get into filming and kind of do that, definitely check out Fourth Arrow camera arms. Sadie's ammunition. If you guys haven't checked that out, sadiesllc.com. Some of the best tungsten on the market. Funny enough, did you see that thing I sent you from Greg Stagg? Was over there while he was making that. So think about this: tungsten shot, 500 to 600 pellets. Just think about that. If you miss with tungsten, you probably should take up another sport. They were busting on me. Pretty cool. If you guys want to check out what we were talking about, go over and check out Stags in the Wild. And who else we missing here?
I know I wasn't paying attention. Did you work
Latitude,
in class?
Latitude Outdoors. Some really, it's that time to grab that mobile hunting gear, guys. If you guys haven't thought about it or are thinking about it, get on over to their website. Use the promo code Outdoor Drive. Save yourself some. And as Stevie had mentioned, working class bow hunter, bird hunter, working class bird hunter. I forgot about that. That's a killer shirt.
Yeah.
Did you bring that one with you?
I just remembered it.
I did bring a couple of shirts. The one thing I did forget is I bought that Kill Bottle whiskey, and I didn't bring it with us.
Oh, man.
But it's probably better.
It's definitely better.
It's definitely better. So if you guys want to check out what we're talking about, Kill Bottle whiskey, you can get on over at Working Class Bow Hunters. They are the leaders of the outdoor podcast. So go and check those out, workingclassbowhunter.com. And last but not least, there's got to be one more. Did I get them all? Mm-hmm. Oh, we do have a promo code with Lost Nation. Mm-hmm. You guys can use that. The last podcast we did was with Lost Nation Archery, and you can use the promo code Outdoor Drive 10 on that one, I think, and save yourself 10%. From all of his archery stuff over there. And then a huge shout out, since it's turkey hunting season, I want to shout out the boys over at Enticer, teamenticer.com, with their pot calls, some of the best on the market when it comes to pot calls, Team Enticer. So go and check those guys out. We really appreciate you, and look forward to next week. Check into how we did in Maryland. Steve, you got anything to finish this one off, or?
No, man, just hammering down here, bud. We still got 5.5 hours left. We're going to roll into camp as of right now at 12:15. I left straight from work. So, yeah, we're going to probably just catch a nap in the morning and try to roost some birds at sunrise. So, no rest for the wicked, but we're going to get after it.
That's right. So we'll turn this thing right over to Nick Jeffries. And if you guys haven't already, make sure to go check them out over at Custom Antler Design. So here we go. The Outdoor Drive Podcast. Back with Nick Jeffries for a part 2, man. How we doing, Nick?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good, man.
I'm just busy, man. Burying myself and busy, and You got to pay for or trade for all those tags or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Is it the Antler thing is kind of like blown up for you, or is it more personal work kind of things going on?
Fire department, super busy. Fuels work, never ending. Wildfire, never ending. Antlers is crazy busy. We've had a little bit of a lull last I don't know, probably 3-4 months just in coming in orders. I still have orders on the books, so I'm like, good there. But, and I don't depend on it to pay my mortgage. So, but it's been interesting, the whole, we have the new administration in, and I think that, stuff's changing and people are just watching what's happening. And, I think it'll even out, but getting lots of inquiries here as of the last week or so. So
It's kind of funny that you say that because I think it's just I think it's across the board with everything. There's a lot of unknown, right? Like they're just a lot of people are just worried. Even my business, because a lot of our stuff comes from Canada, right? And like
right.
it's tough, right? People are just unsure if they want to do things. You think that they'll be unsure about going out west and going elk hunting, or they don't want to spend the money? You think that's a possibility?
Um, no, no, I honestly, I think that they're going to do the things they want to do, but like on some of these big construction projects and stuff, I think they're just watching their money. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
kind of interesting because I'm a very niche. Like I'm not building these things for hotels and businesses. I'm building them for a lot of private homes.
Right.
And so the people that I'm dealing with, the other thing that I thought about was, it's also tax season, and we're paying taxes, so
Right.
that could be part of the issue too. So I don't know. I've just never noticed a lull like I've had, man.
Yeah. Yeah, well, too, when they get their taxes back, then they're going to spend more, right? And they're going to want those luxury items. So
I hope so. I
the
hope so.
the night, one of the things too is it's a want, not a need, right? So they don't need it to survive,
Yep.
but they definitely want it. So it's one of those, hey, listen, we all want one, right? We all want one for our houses, but it's just a lot, it's a want, not a need. So it's those are the first things to go. It was the same in taxidermy. When I was doing taxidermy, it's a need, not a want. I mean, yeah, the husband wants it, but the wife doesn't need it, so you're not going to get it, right? So that's kind of how that goes. So you might get a skull mount instead of a shoulder mount or whatever. So those things do happen. So
Well, and thinking back, like we had an episode 1, and some of you guys might have caught that, but for everybody else, we're talking about that I built antler chandeliers.
yes,
So that's the conversation. We might want to give them a little context.
Yeah, well,
So
we were going to go there, so
I own custom antler design.
Or
I
where
build
you're
custom antler lighting and ship it all over the country.
yeah. Well, why don't we'll dig it right into 4-wheel drive, Nick. Why don't you tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about what you do, my friend.
Perfect. So my name's Nick Jefferies. I live in Spokane, Washington. I have a couple different jobs. One job of mine, it's a kind of a career path that I've worked my whole life for, is I'm the wildland resource planner for the Spokane Fire Department. So what does that mean? It means that I'm helping them manage the wildland forests for forest health and wildfire all across the county, but more specifically in our district. And in that, it's just been a long profession of forestry and wildfire. The other piece is that I have an antler business called Custom Antler Designs, and I build antler lighting and I ship it anywhere in the country. Over the last 20 years, I've built the antler business, and it's basically grown into this custom chandelier business. That's essentially what I do a lot of.
So take us back. So getting into the wildfires and all that stuff, like how did you even get into that? Like did you go to school for it or did you just walk into it? Like how did that all fall apart
Yeah,
for you?
good question. So wildfire, there's actually a difference between structure fire and wildland firefighters. And I didn't know this, okay, but I was there at college and I was in a natural resource program. My first year is right out of the Marine Corps, just gung ho, don't know what the hell I'm doing with anything. And they said I had to get a summer job, and so I procrastinated a little. And like one of the last forms on the board was like this wildland firefighting job. So I called down to the Bureau of Land Management. Little did I know this was like a good federal agency to work for. And I said, hey, I'm interested in your job. So I go in there for an interview the next day. And at the time, I'm a 10-point veteran. So they basically said, you did so well interviewing. We want to hire you. Here's the job. Literally. That's literally how my wildland fire career started. And I really didn't know the difference between a structure and a wildland firefighter. They just said, you're going to hike around the hills. You're going to dig line. You're going to do all this rough work. I was like, I'm in. I was a Marine.
You're a grunt, yeah.
Dig for that stuff. So that's literally how my wildland fire career started. With that said, though, I fought fire in college for those 4 years that I was in college during the summer months. And as I was starting to graduate, the only thing that I had a skill set in was wildfire. And so that was how I ended up with my first full-time gig. I got a job running inmate hand crews doing forestry and wildfire.
So they do run inmates for that.
Oh yeah. It's a big business up here. And it used to be a huge cost savings for the taxpayers because they'd only get $2 an hour plus food. Now they're getting minimum wage, but the reality is, listen, any one of those guys will outwork 3 of us. I don't care how tough you and I are, but they're the hardest working. All they do is they get out of the institution and they work hard. So these hand crews, they're 10-man hand crews. You don't have a gun or nothing. You just have all these inmates, and everybody's like, oh, they must be minimum security. That's not always the case. Like, you could have a murder 2 that's on good behavior, and he's on his 16th year in prison that goes to the minimum security. You then check him out of the institution, and you go fight fire with him.
Wow. But
yeah, it's pretty crazy, but it's good, man. It's helping recidivism, right?
Well, not even that, but it gets those guys back on their feet, and they have something to live for again. You know what I'm saying? Like
exactly. Yep.
They're probably more loyal to you than anybody.
Yeah, it was good, man. Listen, I don't shame on my time with the inmates, and I still use them. Like, as a forester now, I actually have a contract with the state, and I have 4 inmate hand crews working on 2 of my projects right now.
Wow.
They're thinning out approximately 360 acres this winter.
So what do they do as they go when you go through and like thin it out? Like, does that actually then turn into like a good area to transfer into like hunting and stuff like that too?
No, so yes and no. So the idea with the forest health stuff, so it's forest health and wildfire. So let's say I have trees just stacked on each other, okay? Basically what I do is I cut it down so there's 2 trees left instead of, 200. And then the idea is that those are going to get more water, sun, and nutrient. They're going to grow up bigger and stronger. And that's literally what the fire regime's ecosystem used to be. So fire used to come through and thin it naturally, and we'd have these big trees spaced apart. Well, there's a lot of science to it, but the idea is that if you space them out, they're going to have more forest health, and they're going to be less susceptible to insect and disease. Now, on the other side of that coin, it makes it easier for them to fight fire. Okay, so let's say I have 5 acres below my house and it's all treed. Let's say I thin it out. If there was a fire, it would help the firefighters stop the progression of the fire towards my house. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then from an ecosystem standpoint, yes, it opens it up. It gives more room for the brush and the forbs to come back. And so then your deer, your elk, your turkey, and all that's going to have more to eat. And a lot of these areas that we have vast amounts of wildlife, even though they're city-owned parcels, and a lot of them are no hunting. They're adjacent to a lot of private parcels, so you're retaining a lot of wildlife.
It's kind of like the small things that we do on the East Coast. We do a lot of, even in the Midwest, they do a ton of it, and they do a lot of like just burns, like prescribed burns.
Prescribed fire is essentially the equivalent to mechanical fuels reduction. The difference is that there's so much fuel that you can't prescribe fire yet. And then there's so many houses that you really don't want to prescribe fire. So prescribed fire is like the number one tool for fire prevention, really, on the landscape on a big level. The problem is that, that not everybody has the training. We don't have the capacity. The forests aren't in the same state or ready for that. But it's a great tool. Great tool.
That's awesome. No, that's super cool that you do that, and I know it's on a big scale and it's what you do for a living, but I know that there's a lot of information there for people to take out of it. Honestly,
No, there is, and there's something called defensible space. It's a big thing we push. Like you can protect your home from ember showers, and I think that's a big push across the West. And if you're not familiar with it, you can look up your local district, and they have lots of programs available to help you do that. And so, like as you can tell, I'm pretty passionate about this, and that's part of the reason I'm still doing it and doing antlers because I'm still passionate. I think we're making a difference. I think we're making the community safer, and long term, my kids are going to grow up in this environment.
So is there a lot of crazy wildfires by you also?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. 2 years ago, last year we actually had a light year, but it's kind of an anomaly. Like we've had our worst 5 fire seasons in the last 10 years, or the last 12 years now, probably. So the worst 5 fire seasons in recorded history were in the last 12 years. And then in the last 2 years, we had 10,000 acre fires come through the county, and it burned down 600 primary homes.
Wow.
600. Now we had a speaker today, the stuff that I was working on, and he was talking about California. They've lost 5,000 homes in some of these cities, 10,000 homes in some of these cities. So the West is burning up, man.
That's horrible because it's not only those are the homes for a ton of wildlife. To try and bring it back, but that's a home for a lot of people, a lot of wildlife, a lot of everything that's literally going up in smoke.
For sure. Well, we can talk, and I'll actually remind me to bring it up when we talk about my Colorado hunt this year. There was actually forest health implications that caused my hunt to be what it was.
So take us right into it. Don't even just go into it.
Okay.
Let's talk about it.
So we're second. Let's see. That tag was second season. So I had 5 elk tags last year, and I'm just blessed to be able to have that much time and that much finance to buy the tag or whatever I did to get the tag. And I went to Colorado, and I took my dad and I had another buddy that was supposed to come. So the other buddy bails on us, and he's the one that had been there. And I'm like, oh, well, great. So now we're going in on horseback, drop camp, 5 miles in. And I know how to hunt elk. So you get me in there, man, I'll figure it out. So I invite another buddy because I'm thinking to myself, me and my dad packing out a couple bulls, not a good plan. My dad's 66. He's just, he's getting older. And so I invited this other friend. So we went in on horseback. It was great. If you haven't experienced horseback on a hunt, I would highly suggest it. It was an experience that I actually want to share with my family. I want to take my family on a horseback adventure because it was that much fun, guys. And I literally got a picture of me on this horse, and it looks like just this teeny little horse. I'm not kidding. It was the biggest horse they had because I'm a big dude, So anyway, so it was pretty hilarious. But so we get back into this camp, and they drop us at this wall tent. And all we had was the wall tent. We had our satellite, communication if we needed it, and we were on our own. So we hunted for five full days or 6 full days. Now, we saw 4 bulls in the course of 5 or 6 days, which is actually pretty good. In North Idaho here, on some of the stuff we hunt, if you see a bull, you're killing it. So the reality of seeing 4 is an anomaly, right? So basically, the forest health from the lack of management, the amount of trees and the amount of insect that came in and killed the trees, it basically came in and it was a spruce beetle or something, and they attacked all the trees. Well, after that happens, what happens 5 or 10 years after a tree dies?
It rots.
They fall over.
Right.
They fall over. They rot and they fall over. Exactly. And so literally there's just windfall just everywhere. And these elk are literally living in this crap. And so every step you're taking, you're jumping over or stepping over a giant log. It was horrible. Now, there was one section that was probably, I don't know, maybe a mile long by a mile long that was kind of open. And we spent some time in there too. But, anywhere we'd try to go, we'd get in this section of just this beetle kill that was just annihilated. Honestly, what it needs is a stand replacing fire. It needs a fire to come through there and burn it all up so that we can start over. Because the reality is, wildlife could barely live in there. We could barely hunt in there. But with that tag, there was 2 opportunities that were actual opportunities. One of them, I had my scope cover on, and I don't even know why I had a scope cover on, man. It's really it's something that you don't really need. You know, you just wipe the glass off on your scope because this was a rifle hunt. And by the time I identified that it was a bull, flipped my scope cover off, got the rifle up, kaboom, I clean missed him. And it was a big bull, man, big old 6-point or something. You know, you could just see the big frame running away from you. So I was the only one out of the 3. We were all together at that point. But I was the only one that even thought about a shot. So then we're like day 3, and it's a bull only tag. And with that, you guys know how that is. Like it's not a fur tag. Like if I see an elk, I have to make sure that it's a bull. And so I see this elk, and I think it's a raghorn right off the bat. I'm like, I think it's a raghorn. And I pull my rifle up, I'm on him. I'm waiting for him to turn his head, and he must have winded us, man, and he just poofed right out of there. I could have dumped that elk 5 times in that, 5-second window. But the reality was I was only 50% sure it was a bull, so I wasn't going to shoot. So, it goes back to, hunting and ethics and all those things. And, I felt like I made the right decision. I was sad that he didn't turn. But, because the 10 miles that I put on that day, that was my one opportunity. But it was an epic adventure with my dad and my buddy. I was so sick of Mountain House meals. I don't know, something about it, man. There's nothing like home cooking, but maybe I'm too spoiled on my other hunts. But that was Colorado kind of in a wrap, man. There was snow. It was blizzardy. It was freezing cold. And I love to hunt in the cold. And my dad's a trooper too. But we saw 4 bulls in 5 or 6 days. 2 opportunities. One I missed. The other I chose to hold off on. And that was Colorado, man. So that was one of my 5 elk tags.
Wow. And what's your favorite mountain house? I got to know.
Honestly, like just to get through them, like MREs I used to eat, is probably the biscuits and gravy, man. Just eat the biscuits and gravy of the Chad Mendez's brand. What's that one?
Peak
Refill. We live on
and Peak makes some really good ones, man.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, man, by the time you're sick of eating those things, I'm like, just give me the biscuits and gravy. I'll put some Tapatio on it. We're gonna survive. Look at what he's got in his hat. What has he got?
Sweet pork. Oh,
sweet pork. You're not having that for dinner, are you?
No. This is what we live on. But this one is probably the best. Peak Refuel. This is the sweet pork and rice, hands down, the best Peak Refuel that there is. Hands down, that's the best.
How many days was it you were in the tent?
5 or 6.
And how many peaks or Mountain House were you eating a day?
Man, I only did 2 just because I couldn't stomach anymore, man. Yeah. I couldn't stomach anymore, and it could have been 6 or 7 days.
Yeah,
I don't know. It was last year, man. We're focused on this year.
Yeah,
it was good. How many days have you gone on them?
I've gone 2.5.
Okay, so I have a hunt this fall. We'll be on dried food for 10 days.
Oh,
it's gonna be what it's gonna be.
I have dabbled with the Mountain House, and I just only buy peaks now. They're $4 or $5 more each, but there's so much worth it. Like, there's so much better than the Mountain House.
I agree.
Yeah, I honestly don't even look at the price because I picked the thing that I think I'm gonna be able to eat.
Yeah.
The Peak Refuels, I think, are definitely better than the Mountain Houses, to be honest with you, just flavor wise. Like, I eat them for fun. I don't know. I kind of like them, to be honest with you.
God, man, you should have been a Marine. You should have been a Marine. You could eat MREs for fun all you want, man. They just give them out.
Take them.
It's actually funny you say that. Randomly today, a kid I work with brought a real MRE into work to eat for lunch today.
What was it? Do you know?
It was some tuna wrap something. It wasn't even.
They make some good ones, dude. They make some good ones now.
Really?
Oh yeah. In my day, when we actually had MREs to eat, if we weren't starving to death over the push or whatever we were doing in Iraq, I'd literally scumbag like a whole box to get like 2 or 3 meals out because it was just that awful, man. It was that's what you had to eat.
They're funny too because it's so random when you start pulling shit out. It's like a muffin top with some apple spread and like a cracker and then a thing of tuna fish and some cheese sauce. It's like
yeah. The hell am I gonna make with that?
Oh, that's funny. So you did have some successful hunts though last year.
Yes, sir. So I had some successful hunts. I want to recap on another good one that was really entertaining, or really maybe it wasn't entertaining, but it was a good hunt. So we went to Oregon, and I brought Hannah Barron, and we brought Jeff Barron, and we brought Dark Horse Expeditions, our nonprofit that we're filming all the hunts, and we had 7 days of archery in Oregon. Now, the problem is, remember we were talking about burning up out west? Guess what? We were the first week of September. Fires were ripping, man. The fires were, they actually had put in dozer line across the private ranch we were hunting because we were on a guided hunt. It's a guided hunt, but it's basically like it's just the full access to this private ranch with you and your group. So it's really not like I don't know, in the mountains guided. It's not the same, but I would highly recommend it if you have the opportunity, and it's sometimes semi-reasonable cost-wise. But basically, they put dozer lines in, they moved cows in, they did everything they could do to bump the elk out unintentionally. And, we sat in a lot of blinds and tree stands, and we had some elk pass at far distance, a little bit, but they just weren't on the ranch, man. There was just a few elk in there. We did go up top and chase them one day, and we got into elk right away. There was a bear. There was just, so they were up above the ranch. But, for what we were doing and we were filming, we were trying to do it in the blinds, and it didn't work out like we wanted it to. The very last day, or it was the second to last day, it was the evening, and my wife was first shooter. And so we were in the same blind with the cameraman. And so I wanted her to shoot the elk, and it's any elk in that unit. And a herd of cows came in, and she's like, I'm not shooting a cow for my first elk. And I'm like, whatever. So anyway, so these elk, they turn and they burn, man. They must have caught some wind. And we stopped them about 80 yards. And I'm super confident with this new Matthews that I'm shooting. I'm shooting the lift. And I'm telling you guys, man, I could shoot groups like this at 80, 90, 100. And I don't know that I don't know, man. That 70, 80 mark is really on the verge of what you should and shouldn't be shooting on an elk. But it was a big cow. She was sitting broadside, man. I shot her. We held out. I'm like, okay, I'm filling my freezer, man. Like, I'm not going to go home from this hunt without some meat in the freezer, So we waited. We started to look for blood later that night because it was evening, so that it got dark. And we found some blood, and it was decent blood trail. So we get back up in the morning. We say, well, okay, we're going to pull out. We'll come back in the morning. That's what you do with an elk. Let them bleed out. That's kind of the game. So we followed the elk in the morning for another mile. And then what happened is another herd somehow caught up with this elk. I don't know. The only thing that I can think of is that she was quartered just a little bit further than she looked. And I maybe single lunged her instead of double lunged her. And, because we literally have it on film. It's a perfect shot, like by the textbook, right? But, that's archery hunting too. And then I throw in the 80 yards and I'm like, well, shit, maybe I shouldn't have made the shot. And so we ended up gridding that whole ridge. And, it's really not that good of a thing to do when you're hunting a private ranch because you're blowing out any animals that are in there.
Right.
Man, we gridded that whole side of the ranch, man. I spent all day looking for that thing, and it just makes me sick. But, that is archery hunting. And if you know anybody that's killed a bull with a bow, they've probably had some near misses or some scary, some lost animals. So,
I mean, that's it in deer hunting. That's it in everything. I mean, it's just archery hunting as a whole. Like those things, they happen. That's just part of the game.
So I just had to get that off my shoulders that I did have one other opportunity, and I took it. I made it work, but it was just no recovery. So off to the next hunt, right? So I happened to have this tag that was on the Utah-Nevada border. Okay. And the very first day we get up on this thing, I'm not exaggerating, there was 30 to 40, 300 class bulls in and around this drainage. So you could actually see them from where you're glassing. I'm not kidding. There was like a 360 bull up top. And I was a little confused because there was like no spikes or raghorns, man. Like everything was a big bull. There's a herd right there, big bull. Herd right there, big bull. I'm like, I literally saw like one spike. I'm not kidding. It was kind of, I don't know. So I don't know whether they just don't filter in with the cows because they just get their butts beat. But we got to watch fighting. Like I'd never seen a bullfight, elk bullfight. A lot of the country I hunt is pretty thick for archery a lot of times. But in this hunt, even my Southern Idaho bull that I shot, like I've never seen a bullfight. I probably watched 15 elk fights, 20 elk fights. This place was unbelievable, man. The beauty of the tag that I had, I could use a rifle or a bow. I know that sounds crazy, but there is tags out there that you can get that you can do this. So I was going to use my bow. So on day 3, we called in a couple different bulls. One was a really good bull that we hadn't seen yet. He just wouldn't come out of this bush, and I drew back on him, waiting for him to come out because he was right there, man, and he just didn't take that next step. And so we fought it. We came back that night. We came into the same drainage to try to kill that bull because he was a nice bull, man. He was probably 350. And so, and like learning how to field judge, man, I'm just, I'm an amateur when it comes to trophy bull stuff. I can tell you how big a horn is if you hand it to me, but like seeing stuff on the hoof, it's different, man. It's different. So,
what time of the year was this?
Talking,
what time of the year was
this?
This
is September, man. This is the 3rd week in September.
Okay.
So I got lots of stories about September this year, but the bull that we were talking to in the evening finally committed. So they actually turned on a camera on a cell phone behind me. We're up against this bush and we call in this bull, and I draw back, and I sat there for probably 1 minute and 20 seconds, and I have it all on film. And this bull just, wobbles his way through the bushes, comes out at about 15 yards, looking right at me, drooling out his mouth. And I don't know whether it was a guided hunt, and I don't know whether the guide wanted me to shoot him in the brisket, but I'd already lost that cow, and I'm not going to shoot this thing in the brisket, man. There's no way. I don't care how close this bull is, and I don't care how hard my bow hits. I'm like, I'm going to make the perfect shot on this thing, and if I don't, then I'm not going to shoot it. And so I hit it with my cow call, and he turns, and I just thumped him, man. Just nailed him. And he runs down the hill and passes. So he ended up, he looks monstrous in the photos, and he was a giant bodied bull. But he ended up taping 341. So
it's no slouch.
super thrilled with that. The only catch there is that my other big bull archery is 341. Yeah. So I'm like, my goal going into that hunt was to shoot something 350 plus, but like you're not going to pass on a 340 bull at 15 yards.
No.
Like, you'd be crazy.
Plus, with that much bone, like you said, trying to judge it in the field, that could have very well been a 350. Like, what's a couple?
Oh, dude, for sure.
Yeah.
The difference between a 340 and a 350 is an inch per horn, or an inch and a half per horn, right? Whether that be mass or length, like you can't Yeah, it's a tough game. I don't know. Like, I saw so many bulls in that week that I'm not exaggerating. Like, I got better at judging bulls. So I would tell you that, like, I did see a 340 bull earlier in the week, and I could have went after him, but I hesitated. I was like, is he big enough? I don't know, and that's crazy to sound, but man, I'm telling you guys, I saw 30 or 40 300 class bulls in one day. In one day, man. And I don't know that I'll ever get that again.
Which state were you actually hunting? Because you said you were on the Utah line, right?
Yeah,
Utah, Nevada line.
It was in Utah.
Yeah, Utah's pretty known for having a really good managed herd for that, aren't they?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So is Nevada. Nevada's got some good bulls too, man.
yeah.
Don't let Nevada sneak from you, because they got desert bulls, man. So, okay, you want another September story?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so my wife's tag.
What is this? The last week of September now?
What's that?
Last week of September now?
No, let me think. Yes. Last week of September, last 3 days. Like, I'm supposed to be at work, but I'm not. Like, it's a whole mess, man. My wife has 3 days. I just got back from this other hunt. I'm all stoked up. And we go out in North Idaho. And, like, I don't know if you guys follow any of the other, like, big elk hunting guys, like Dan Staten,
Yeah.
Elk Shape.
Yeah.
So he hunts. He's grown up here. He lives right down the road. But he grew up hunting this North Idaho, man, and it's like the jungle. And what we always like to say is, like you've never hunted elk until you've hunted the North Idaho jungles, because it's just horrible, man. It's like thick brush, there's predators all over, and it's a tough hunt. So my wife has this tag, and it's really not that great of a tag if you look at, the tag I just came off of, or other tags in the country. So we go up and we start working some bulls. She's in decent shape, so she's keeping up. I've gotten really good at calling. Like, you guys call your turkeys, and it sounds like you guys are super proficient. And, like, I guarantee you would come out with me and I could learn so much from you. And that's the way I feel about my elk calling skills. Like, I've gotten a lot of years of experience and I've gotten good at it. So the very first day we get on the backside of this nasty, nasty mountain. And if you kill something, you're 3 to 5 miles to pack this thing out. But my wife just follows me because she knows that I'm crazy and that's what I'm going to do. So I call in this bull, and we're talking to this thing, and it's right there, man, 120 yards, but it's in brush and you just can't see it. So I tell her, I said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go after this thing, and we're just going to drop down this mountain. And so we literally just dropped off this just nasty, nasty mountain down after this bull, and I'm just screaming at this thing. I grab my decoy and I'm calling for it, but I have my bow in case I see a predator. Okay. Now remember that, because this will come into play here in a little while. So we finally get down to a point where I frustrate this thing. I'm beating a tree with a stick. I'm screaming with my bugle. I'm holding up the decoy, and this bull finally circles around. She's like, he's coming. And my wife's 5 foot. So I kick her up on this giant stump, and this bull walks in at like 15, 20 yards, and he stops right behind a bush. Typical North Idaho. Big old 6-point. All we could see is his head and his horns. He's probably a 300 class bull, but he's all busted up. We don't care. We're going to shoot him if we have the opportunity. So this bull stands there. He turns. He rakes some brush, man. I'm doing everything I can with the calls. I'm holding up the decoy. Still nothing. He turns. He gets bored. He walks over the hill. Like, shoot. So this is still day. We got like 3 days to hunt. So we hike off the mountain. We come back the next day. Similar scenario, called in another bull. He came in behind some brush, no shot. So, like, listen, to call in one bull in North Idaho is like a feat. To call in 2 bulls, you're like really doing good. But again, still no shot. Because that's how tough elk hunting is. That, just because you're in them doesn't mean you're killing them. Day 3, she's tired. She's like, I'm not going back there. Not doing it. So I hear a bull down below us. And so I said, well, let's drop off and then we can work our way back towards camp. It's not that far. You're maybe a mile or 2. So we drop off this hill and we're working this bull. And right at the point where we're really making good progress, like we're going to come in on this bull, we're working towards it. The bull's coming, playing games with us. It just shuts down. Out of the right side over to here, we hear this. Rrr. I'm like, I look at my wife and I'm like, I don't know what that was, but I think it was an elk. And I was totally lying through my teeth. Like I totally thought it was a bear. Totally thought it was a bear. So I knock an arrow because I'm now in, predator kill mode while I carried my bow. So my wife is freaking out now. And so I take a couple steps. All of a sudden I look to my left, and coming up the game trail is a giant white wolf, probably 120-pound wolf. I'm not exaggerating. It was the biggest dog I've ever seen in the woods, man. Thing was just massive. And I don't even have the sense to call to stop it. All I do is I draw back and I shoot, and it flings right by it, running right at me. So all the while this is going on, my wife knocks an arrow. She pulls back. She shoots right over this thing into the brush. Now listen, this thing is now 15 yards from us, walking right in front of us, trotting right in front of us. Giant white wolf, as white as a piece of paper. No, it was the coolest thing I've ever seen in the woods. And I knock a second arrow, and I start to draw back, and he's gone. So my wife looks over at me, and she says, "Why didn't you pull your gun?" I had a pistol on my hip the whole time.
Because you said a couple times, you're like, yeah, I had my bow in case of predators. And I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, I had my bow for predators. I don't know, man. Listen, so then we hear them howling down there. We jump off the mountain, and we can't get close to them. We howl back, and they're just not having it. Giant white wolf, we both missed it. September 2024. Wife and I will remember that story for till we die.
That's crazy.
One of those new tiger wolves that they just brought back.
Dude, this thing was the most massive beast. You wonder why elk get eaten, man. This thing was just massive. It was it seriously took me a minute to recognize that it wasn't a Great Pyrenees. That's not a Great Pyrenees. That is a giant white North Idaho wolf.
Is it that, are they that prevalent there? Do you deal with them that much?
They are. Well, so you get into them that much. In all of my years, I've seen 8 lions. We've harvested 2 of them. Okay. 8 mountain lions. In all my years, I've never seen a wolf until that time.
True.
And I'll tell you that I've been into them probably 50 times.
Wow.
They're just that smart, and it's that thick.
And at that point, are they just it's like a feast or famine type thing? You can just shoot them?
Well, it's legal, man. You got tags.
Right.
You buy a wolf tag every time you go into the woods because you just pray that you have that one opportunity. Well, we had our opportunity and I blew it.
Especially.
What was your sidearm?
I was just gonna ask that.
10 mil.
I figured.
10 mil with grizzly bear killer rounds in it. If you ever got attacked by a grizzly bear, you carry this 10 mil. But man, because there's some grizzlies up in that north unit, those northern units in North Idaho. Because we're kind of in that northwest Montana, North Idaho. There's grizzlies that roam.
It's that Troy Pottinger land up there.
Yeah, it's Troy Pottinger.
It is. Troy Pottinger's right down the road. He's over in Coeur d'Alene. Yeah, exactly.
Man, you're in the Hollywood Hills of the hunting celebs.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
You got Dan Staton as a neighbor, Troy Pottinger.
Yeah. They're all. Troy lives in Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah, Troy's the man.
That's 25 minutes from here.
Wow. Yeah.
I've always wanted to get more motivated and follow his whitetail stuff, man. That guy kills some studs, but it's time and energy, man. Time and energy.
Man. He's a mountain man for sure.
Yeah.
That's why they call him Mountain Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy though. Okay. What a nut.
So that was the wolf, man. It was as epic as it sounded, minus I didn't harvest it. Now you can't eat wolves, but you can make a damn nice mount out of it.
Why can't you eat them? They eat coyotes.
It's crazy that out of getting into them 50 times and only seeing one time at 15 yards, you didn't see him at 200 on the other mountainside, right in your.
I know, man. The thing is, like when you're out elk hunting, you call, the wolves answer, you just leave. You go to the next spot, man, because it's not going to be effective calling typically. But I've had them call at me. I've had them surround us. I have family and friends with stories of being surrounded and just crazy stuff, man. But typically they're really elusive.
It's not like they're
So
like hunting you, right? I mean, it's not like that. Like,
no, I wouldn't. Not normally. On the Washington side, because they don't have any apex predators here on our side, because we can't hunt them in this state, I would say it might be a little different because I have heard of stories that packs of wolves have came in on hunters. Like my uncle was one of them. He tells me a story about 3 years ago that him and his buddy were elk hunting, and they had a pack of wolves come in, and that alpha was just staring at him, dude. Didn't even care that he was there. And I'm like, maybe if they had a predation from an apex like us shooting at them, they'd have a fear of man. You know what I mean?
right.
But because we can't hunt them in the state of Washington, they're just there.
Why do they protect them so much?
It's a lot of political stuff,
I figured.
and it's just like we're seeing a lot all over the country. Between the bears and the lions and the wolves, there's just a lot of politics playing into some of our management, and you know, I would hope that us as sportsmen, try to voice our opinion, that we can have this happy ecosystem, and we're not going to get everything that we want, but my thing is I want my kids and my kids' kids to be able to do the same things that I had. I want them to go out and hunt wild game, hunt deer and elk, and those populations are just going down, and the predator population's going up, and so I am afraid long term that what we're doing, and it's not that our hunting is unsustainable. It's just like the way we're managing our game with the hunting is unsustainable.
I think it's crazy, and especially to hear you. I mean, you're on the total opposite side of the country than we are, and we're in the same latitude line. Like that, you have the same problems with the predation and the limits and the politics and all the bullshit, because we here have the same problems with bears, bobcats. Our predators aren't as crazy as yours, but still we have the same exact political problems that are playing into take it not even predators, take it into like turkey hunting. For here, they allow us to shoot 5 turkeys. We're literally killing off our population of turkeys, and nobody's listening to us. They're not listening to biology. It's a political thing because it's a money grab where they can get more people to come here and hunt. They allow them to have that many tags. Like it's ridiculous, and it's we're literally killing off our population over nothing.
And then at the same sense, we're starting to get overrun with black bears. We have a big black bear problem in like the northwest corner of the state. They won't open up any kind of hunting on black bears. We got to protect black bears, but they have no problem with us killing the shit out of the turkeys.
It's crazy.
Like, doesn't make sense.
And you're talking black bears.
What do they say? Ballot box biology, right?
Exactly.
That's the term they're using, right?
Exactly. Yep.
And you're talking
a lot of those wolf problems you have out west is it's all them city folk in the city voting, and
making decisions for the rest of the state. That's Washington's problem specifically.
Yeah.
You have a lot of populace, and the last thing I read was that they were going to release some grizzly bears in the Cascades, on the west side of the Cascades, which is just a horrible plan. And it's not that I don't appreciate grizzly bears, man. I think that they're a freaking cool animal. It's just like when you put some of these animals in with the civilian population or with human population, they are not going to have the same range that they used to because we live all over, man. Mm-hmm. We've moved into the interface. It's the same thing with wildfire, We don't say wildfire can't be there, you know what I mean? So
it's the same problems we had here. They put in the fisher cat to kill the population of gray squirrels, and then they didn't have a predator. I know it's on a smaller scale, but then they brought in the bobcat to get rid of the fisher cats because they're the only known carnivore, but they won't give us a season on them. But now they're killing everybody's chickens and ducks and everything else because they're in those urban areas. It's absolutely ridiculous. And then we have these black bears that are 4, 5, 600 pounds living in people's backyards. They're denning underneath their porches. Like, it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And if they opened a season on them, like same with probably you with the wolves, if they opened the season, you would kill the dumb ones, the problem ones, and then we would then hunt hard for the rest of them. You're not going to kill them all. It's not going to happen.
Well, and all these things, I follow some cool people on social media, and they're more my state directed. But what I think is cool is that these guys will post, they'll say, hey, this is the time to write your council people or whoever the elected officials are, or whatever their take is, and they'll post that kind of material, and it'll give you a heads up when this stuff is needed, when your voice can be heard. And I think those are the types of things, and getting some the right people in these elected positions can help, I think, long term. I think that's one of the solutions to this problem, right? Like, we can talk about how bad it sucks, but talking about it's not going to change it, right? Like, I hate the fact that all the ungulates are dying on the Northeast Washington side, but like, if I just talk about it, that's not going to solve the problem. So what can we do as sportsmen? We can put money back into the system. We can talk to our legislatures and talk about those things that are positive, right?
No, I agree with you 100%. The problem with the hunting industry as a whole is that a lot of people, not us, but there's a lot of people in the hunting space that are outdoorsmen, and they all complain about, oh, well, I can't go to the state capitol to do a testimonial on a Tuesday. Well,
Yeah.
okay, I understand that. We all work too, but so does the other side. And they got 3,000 people to go there that skipped work on a Tuesday to fight for bears to not have a bear season. If you want a bear season because there's a problem, sorry, but you got to take off Tuesday at 9 a.m. I'm sorry. You have to, like, they do it. Why can't you? Like, you have to put together that space. And the thing is, a lot of outdoorsmen, they talk about it, but they don't want to be about it. They want to talk about it, but they're not writing testimonials. They're fighting. We have more fights within our space that are fighting us every single day than us fighting the battles that we need to be fighting. That's one of the biggest problems. Yeah. It's just
the negativity.
It's sad, man. It really is sad. And if guys like us don't voice our opinions like this, then like you said, Nick, like your kids and their kids are not going to be able to do these things because we need to bring it to the forefront. And, we are those guiding hands to be able to do that. It's frustrating. I get super frustrated about it, man, because if we don't do anything about it, we're going to have problems in the future, in my opinion.
For our children, for sure. You want to hear about more dead stuff?
Yeah, we do. Of course we do.
Listen, man, I hunted my ass off last year.
I know
had
you
60
did.
or 70 days in the woods, man.
How many?
Well, we know you hunted the whole entire month of September.
And I hunted most of October, most of November. I'm not even kidding, man.
Dude,
like,
that's awesome.
And I told, what I told myself last year? I said, I'm not going to go as hard next year. And guess what I did?
Yeah, how many tags did you pull?
My season's already full, man.
How many tags?
My season's already full. I have a moose tag. As of right now, I have 3 good elk tags. I likely will have 2 more. And then I got a 2 mule deer tags and a whitetail tag.
Wow. Where's the moose?
Alaska.
Oh.
Yep.
Whoa.
Yep. I'll have to report back, man.
Wow.
DIY. That buddy that I took to Colorado, I'm dragging him to Alaska with me. They're going to drop us on a lake with a raft. We're going to go kill a moose.
Whoa.
10 days.
Whoa.
We'll figure it out.
Well, I can't wait to hear that story. But tell us about more dead things, because we still have October and November to talk about.
So October, rifle season. Rifle season, it was all right. I don't think we hunted as hard as we could. I had some guests up, and I was kind of humoring to them. And it wasn't bad. We had some opportunities. My daughter came out one night, just up for an evening, and literally it was like day 2. And the bulls were still talking, and I called in a bull, and we could see his outline, but we couldn't identify that it was him because it was in the dark timber. And she never got a shot, but it was a close call. There was a lot of just fun opportunities, and that's with my 17-year-old. So just to have that opportunity to be with her is just epic out in the woods. So the next, let's think about this. Then we went October. Then we went rifle, Colorado. Then we went archery, Idaho. So I had this tag, and I'm not going to say what unit because I don't want to motivate people, but it's in Idaho. In Idaho, everybody knows that Idaho's got some good over-the-counter units. But basically what I did is I bought permission to have access to some private land. Now, it ended up having a guide with me, but that wasn't the real intention. The intention was like I just buy the ability to go hunt this property. Very first day, snow on the ground. It's colder than shit. We're archery hunting mule deer in the late season during the rut. We're right in the rut, man. Freaking deer everywhere. So you're glassing these ridges. You on any given day, on the 5-mile stretch of private that we were hunting, there's probably 100 deer, maybe 120. You can see 120 different deer, and in these groups, you have bucks in every group. But the biggest bucks that we're seeing are about 160, which are a great buck. I'm more than happy to shoot that with my bow. So it's me and a Marine Corps buddy that I served with, and I haven't hung out with this guy in 20 years. But we both have our bows, and we're just hiking our ass off, man. So day 2 comes around, and we'd made like one stalk on a deer. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, if I made one stalk on that deer and he busted me way out, if I made 10 stalks on the next sets of deer, if I stalked that deer 5 times and that deer 3 times and that deer 2 times, maybe I will get a shot with a bow in this crunchy ass, cold weather, open exposed. And so I just went for it, man. And I told him, I'm like, listen, I'm going to shoot the first reasonable buck that I see within my bow sight. Okay. And so we started hunting hard, man. I did 15 stalks in the next 2 days. So we're the evening of day 3, and we stalked up this ridge, and we know that there's a decent buck kind of down in the drainage, but there's probably 25 does. There's a couple other bucks that we hadn't seen. And so we drop our packs, we sneak up, we low crawl. I'm in a cactus, like I'm in this nasty stuff, and I finally get up the ridge, and I see some deer, and I see them moving. And I thought for sure he was coming right for me, man. And I'm ready. He doesn't, of course. You're ready for it, but it doesn't happen. So we hear the deer grunting, and he comes back around, and he circles back to the exact same spot we thought he was coming, and he exposed himself. And I pulled back, and I'll call him my guide, but he's actually I would call him a friend now. Sheldon Howe is the guy's name. And if you're interested in a mule deer or an elk hunt that you can afford in Utah or Idaho, Sheldon Howe Hunting. He also does some giveaways too, man. He's a good dude. Good dude. He's younger than me by 10 years, man. He's just a stud of a dude, though, man. Can't say enough good things. He ranges, and I draw back, and I shoot at 60, and it shoots right over his back. I'm like, oh, shit. Slap another arrow, the buck stops. Like, oh, what was that? Slap another arrow in, pull back. I'm like, well, he's got to be 50 if he wasn't 60. Freaking release, thumped him, man. He literally runs right up the hill towards us, or right up the hill above us. He turns, and he stops for a second, and he's like, what just happened, right? So I throw another arrow on, I pull back, I shoot, and it scares him, and he runs straight down like 10 yards from us, piles up, and he's done.
Wow.
He ended up being a 145 buck.
Oh, that's awesome.
He scored 145. And dude, he's got some curvy, G3s, and it was just a cool experience, man. Listen, I wouldn't trade the deer for anything. I got the meat. We made some awesome sausage and jerky and all sorts of fun stuff with it. So I was really happy. So my buddy still got a tag. 2 more days. Dude, he wouldn't get off the 160 boat. Like, I'm going to shoot a 160 or I'm not shooting a deer. So anyway, so we chased 160s for the next 2 days with spot, stock, spot, stock, spot, stock. Guess who didn't kill a deer?
The 160 man.
Yeah. And I feel like sometimes we get wrapped around the axle with score, right? Like, you want a 340 bull or a 160 buck? Come over to my shop. I got 5,000 pounds of antlers down there. If you're going to go out and you're going to hunt and you're going to spend all this time and energy, go harvest something.
Right.
Go harvest something and take some meat home. If you already got 3 elk for the year, then maybe you don't need the meat. But I would tell you that most people are going to need the meat. So harvest something that you're happy with, that makes you happy. Don't be afraid to show your buddies. They might tease you, but the point is they're not going to make fun of you. Like, you had that experience and you harvested an animal.
And
So
you
I feel like that's a message to people. Harvest something.
What do we say? You gotta kill deer to learn how to kill deer.
That's it.
Oh, 100%, man. That's 100%.
And the other thing too, man, like think about it, right? We'll take this back in tenfold. So to be honest with you, you're hunting with a good buddy you haven't hunted with in 20 years. You're a Marine Corps buddy of yours. You shot a deer together. Like, dude, that in itself is a 200-inch deer, in my opinion. Like, it doesn't get any better than that.
It was good, man. And then it was the same window when the Tyson fight was on. And so literally from our tent, we downloaded this app and we watched the Tyson fight on the phone in the tent, in the wall tent, in a blizzard.
That's awesome. That's a memory. That's a memory in itself, right there.
We had just enough service
to watch the shittiest thing that happened.
But I don't know. I don't even watch TV, but I had to watch that.
It's the most ridiculous thing ever. That fight was ridiculous.
So then my daughter and I both shot whitetails in Washington. And I'll give you the long or the short of mine because I'd rather tell you my daughter's story. I sat for, I'm not exaggerating, 12 or 14 sits. And they changed the laws recently that you cannot bait for deer and elk. And last year it was in the county. This year it's in the state. So it really makes it difficult. Like, I'm going to have to listen to more Troy Pottinger because what you need those does to come in or those bucks to follow or check a line. And I saw a couple decent bucks, probably 130 class was probably the biggest that I saw. We have a lot of predators, so that's not abnormal to only see a 130 class buck. And I ended up shooting a 2-point on the very last day of the season, second to last day of the season. The last day of the season, I went out with my daughter. Now, we had been sitting in a tree stand there's an early season and a late season. So we'd been sitting in this tree stand on some private property that we have access to hunt. And we've been hunting there's actually a really nice buck out there, man. Probably a 140, 150 class, big heavy horn guy, man. And my daughter's just waiting for her opportunity. And again, without the bait, it makes it really challenging with archery, man. You're just sitting there waiting in the woods. And you guys probably know this. You could rattle a little, you could grunt a little, but like that kind of stuff is not as effective here as I feel like it would be back east or in other places in the country for rattling and grunting. And maybe I'm not an expert either, so that obviously helps or doesn't help with my efficiency in it. So she ended up shooting a deer. She ended up shooting a little buck. Then a bigger buck came out. Okay. Because that's how it always works.
Of course.
It was her first buck. She shot it. It went into the woods. She had to shoot it more than once. But her and I are going to remember that buck for the rest of her life. And guess what that was? Her very first archery harvest.
That's amazing.
Epic. She was 16, now she's 17. I can't say enough, man.
It could have been a doe. It doesn't really matter for the fact of just you guys hunting together and being able to harvest something together. Like, that's huge. You can't change that for the world. What do you mean? Like, that's just one of those hunts that I remember my first hunt with my dad, and Steve probably the same. I mean, we still hunt with our parents for just the memory fact of what it is. You know, like that's.
Yeah.
And why did they stop baiting though? Like, what was the reason behind that?
Well, so there's two pieces. One is they stopped baiting as a private party. It's illegal to bait because the chronic wasting disease just hit our county, and they're claiming that it concentrates them. Now, even if that's true, they still have feeding stations. So I'm like, okay, we're not allowed to bait with our 5 gallons, but you can bait with your truckload. So,
remember we
you know,
talked
again,
about stupid politics?
yeah, again, it comes down to that. So, you know, it's just going to change the game. Honestly, it was one of the last reasons I hung on to Washington hunting, you know, because you could go and you could bait, and sometimes you'd get some bucks come in and it would be fun. But, you know, it's more and more, I'm less motivated to hunt in the state, more motivated to take the kids out, you know, take the kids out of state and hunt. I have 13 points this year for elk and quality elk. So I actually have a high potential to draw a rifle tag. I honestly have just been claiming the points because I've just been doing other stuff, but you know, I got that potential, and then I got a New Mexico potential, and then I'm gonna kind of just hold back on everything else. So I have that same archery hunt this year in 2025. I got the tag over the counter. I played the game. I got my tag. I have a rifle hunt in Idaho with my dad, my boss, who hasn't really ever elk hunted, and another one of my old Marine Corps buddies. So that's going to be an epic hunt, right? Just for the company. I have a Colorado 3rd season rifle tag for deer and elk. Now, it's me and my dad, deer and elk, 3rd season, private land. Should be an epic hunt, guys. So I learned a lot in 2nd season Colorado, Unit 7. I learned to not go there. So then I'm thinking, like, I got this moose hunt, and I got too much booked, man. I just got too much going on. I got 2 jobs and kids and wife and all that. So I get this email from the San Carlos Reservation. So listen, I thought I won the raffle. So I'm like, oh my gosh. My wife's like, what are you even talking about? I'm like, I won the raffle. You know, I get a guided hunt. So then I actually call and acquire the tag. What it is I actually won the draw, and I had to pay for the tag. And I have a San Carlos, Arizona reservation rifle tag for end of December this year.
True.
What zone is that?
Yeah.
What is that? What zone is that?
It's a reservation. That's the zone.
Oh, it's a reservation. Okay, all right.
Yep. San Carlos Apache Reservation.
So is it like, because I know like the strip and all that stuff, is that like near, is that the same area?
I don't know where it is
Okay.
as far as geography goes.
Okay.
But I've been told that if they get a good winter, some of the bulls from the Arizona side from one of those units will wander onto the reservation to winter.
Okay. Huh. Because that's like the
And
sought after thing, the strip or
Yep.
A5, like that's like the thing there. Like that's where they shoot 300-inch mule deer. Like it's nuts.
Yep. So this is potentially probably a 320 to 400 inch bull.
Yeah.
Now the shed hunters that have been in there, I'm working on booking with an outfitter that's a native, and he has picked up quite a few sheds, and he's picked up a couple like 350 bulls, which would potentially put him at 360 or 370 next year.
Wow.
That's huge, man. Listen, I'm just trying to break the 341.
Yeah. It could be 342. It don't matter.
Yeah, maybe 345. But you get what I'm saying.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, epic. And is it?
The more you go, the more chances you got of breaking it.
What's that, buddy?
The more you go, the more chances you got of breaking it.
That's 100%. And know your elk tag, you know. I already knew know your elk tag, but like going into that Colorado hunt, I had really high hopes. And then really, with the beetle kill, it wasn't that great. So I don't know.
I could be wrong about this because I don't know much about it, but it sounds like maybe Colorado kind of got watered down the last several years because it turned into like because it was over the counter and like it was such a destination that it just got hammered.
It's still getting hammered. But they've changed some things. They made like archery into draw, and they've changed up their GMUs and stuff, or the way their draw patterns are. But I would tell you this: they have never been one that I understand. They've never been to one to manage for 400-inch bulls. They're managing for volume.
Right. That's what I was getting
at. So I think that there is still a great destination in Colorado to go hunting. I think there's still a great destination to go get a tag. So like all you Easterners, like, listen, you don't want to drive to Oregon. Really. Like, Oregon's got great hunting. But Idaho's got great hunting, but like you don't want to drive all the way over there. You want to go to like Colorado or New Mexico or something that's a little more reasonable. Save you 16 or 20 hours of driving.
The other way was always explained to me too, and again, I'm just kind of regurgitating, but like we were talking before, you have to kill deer to learn how to kill deer, right? Same with elk.
Yep.
So you can't sit there and wait on a big draw for 6 years and finally draw your tag, and then you finally go on your first elk hunt in this like coveted zone that's just known for 400 inches. Like you kind of want to hit some over the counters every year to learn how to elk hunt. So after 4, 5, 6 years, you finally draw that big zone or unit.
Yep.
You have experience, so you kind of know what you're doing when you finally get into the good spots.
100% true. Elk has a bigger learning curve than any hunting that I've ever done.
I'm sure.
I would tell you this too. I would tell you that like a lot of these hunting agencies that want you to buy the tags and, tag allocation, all that, you pay money to have them do it and manage all that. That's great. But I wouldn't tell them that I'm going for all the trophy units, because there's a certain percentage of people that are only going for those trophy units. In my opinion, I'd rather hunt every year on 3 tags. I don't care what tag it is. I don't care if it's a raghorn tag and a big bull tag here, and it doesn't matter to me. You're going to harvest more elk, right? And you're going to have more successes in the woods. And so I guess it depends on what you want. If you only want to kill 350-inch bulls, then you just keep your tag in for that. But then when you go out there, you got to know what you're doing. That's 100%. And a lot of guys, are DIY, right? They can't afford to hire a guide. I get it, man. I've been there.
Yeah. I think another really cool thing about what you're doing is you're hunting a lot of different states, right? So state to state, like the terrain and the vegetation and I'm sure elk are elk, but like you're spread out. So you're getting a lot of different experience. So you can pretty much kill an elk anywhere. It's not like you're just killing an elk in the same state every single year. You know what I mean?
Dude, it's epic, and I'm just so blessed to be able to have the experiences that I've had the last few years and have the tag allocations that I've had and have the time off, man. That's the biggest thing. Most people can't get the time off. I tell people, what do you want more? You want to go elk hunting or, I don't know. I've almost quit my job over it. Literally. And it's not that I don't appreciate my job or appreciate the people I work with. It's just that elk hunting is that important to me.
That's why he started bringing his boss. He's like, hey, come with me. Let me show you something.
He's actually retiring in the spring, and it'll be interesting because I'm hoping that he catches on and he lives out the next, few years hunting out with me, and, we make it an annual thing.
That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. Nick, before we cut you loose, man, why don't you tell us what drives you outdoors?
I think, there's a lot of reasons I go outdoors. Number one, I think that it clears out mental health issues. I think that the adrenaline that I chase in the woods is undeniably something that I love. I love taking naps in the woods. That's actually one of my favorites. There's no better place to nap that you're not going to get woken up in a bad mood. You might get woken up by the elk that's walking by or something, but and I think driving my kids out into the into the woods and learning and teaching that experience. And, you know, my family, I think you guys mentioned your dad, and I mentioned this on another podcast I did here recently. And uh, my dad is 66 years old. I'm 40. How many years left do I have to hunt with him? I've literally hunted with that guy since I was 5 years old. So to me, every year I got to have a couple hunts with my dad, you know, even though he's getting older, man. It's just like, it's an epic time. You have that experience and you can't trade that for anything.
I was gonna ask that too, because the other thing I was gonna ask before is like you do a lot of hunts with your old man.
Oh yeah.
Is there a
Oh, yeah.
reason for it?
Is there what?
Is there a reason for it? Like because you enjoy hunting with your father because he brought you up into the hunting and everything?
Well, and here's the thing. He would admit this too, so I'm not saying it out of like cockiness, I guess.
Right.
He taught me how to hunt elk. I became a better elk hunter than him. And it's been just this fun thing. You know, like in my world, like I look at my kids and like if I can make them better than me at anything in life, then I've done something decent, right? You know, and I think he accomplished. I don't know whether that was his goal or we just spent that much time in the woods and then I just took the passion and ran with it. But, you know, we all know that I'm just more efficient and, you know, and maybe he didn't have the experience that I grew up in, right? So maybe he was 30 years old. When I was 30 years old, I'd already harvested 10 elk, right?
Right.
And so it's just been this epic, you know, epic lifetime of hunting with him. When I was 5, I was following him around. When I was 10, I was shooting my first deer. When I was 12 and 15, we were shooting elk. And other than my 4 years in the Marine Corps, which I think I had one window where I came back and hunted 1 year, but other than that, man, we haven't missed a season, literally.
I think that's
It's awesome. It's isn't it funny? You ever stop and think about how you think about the younger, like those first couple of years that you were like old enough to carry your own rifle, right? And dad's holding your rifle for you so you can like cross the fence or get up in the tree, and he makes sure you get up there good, and then hands up your gun, make sure you're safe, and then you get older and now you're holding the gun for your dad and make sure he gets up in the tree safe, and it's like complete role reversal. But he used to do it for me, and now I do it for him.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have the same feeling about my kids. You know, my son went out a few times this year. He's not quite as motivated as I wish, but you know, you got to get him out there. You got to break him in. You got to waste that afternoon or evening hunt and just go out there and try to get them in the environment, you know, and whether they're fighting you, man, listen, I've been doing this since they were 2, 3 years old, man. I remember I drive up, we get into the blind, all of a sudden the kids got to go to the bathroom and everybody's hungry, and you know, it's just a total waste of your time. But the reality is you got them out to experience that outdoor event, right?
100%. 100%. And that brings me to another thought that you were saying before, where like your dad gives you the tools and gives you like the base knowledge, and then you just run with it, right? Like my dad says all the time, he's like, I fucking created a monster. Like I showed you, I don't know what you do now, but it's far beyond what I taught you. But that goes back to like how many opening days my dad could have went without me and probably had a better chance at shooting a better buck. But he kind of sacrificed his chances at a trophy because he brought me instead, making noise and sniffling and all that stuff, right? So it comes around full circle. Now I'm kind of giving my opening day to go hunt with my old man, and like part of me is like, man, I could be over there where them big bucks are, but I gotta go with my old man because I remember when I was 8 and he drugged me along and he didn't have to.
Yep. 100%. 100%.
It's a heritage. It's a thing that we're so used to. You know what I'm saying? Like Nick bringing your little guy or your daughter or whatever, and that buck that you shot with her last season. Like dude, there's nothing better than that. Like that's what we do this for. Who's the first phone call? Everyone always asks, who's the first phone call? I go, if he's not in the stand with me, it's my old man. Like, what do you mean? Like, who else you gonna call? You know what I'm saying? And like, it's what it's all about. That's what makes this the amazing thing that we do every single year. So. Well,
Love
Nick,
it.
we appreciate you jumping on as always. For everybody else listening, thank you. We appreciate it. Nick, just tell them where they can find you and they can go and find your custom antlers.
So customantlerdesigns.com. I'm custom antler designs on Instagram and Facebook. I'm on Threads. I'm on TikTok. I'm on YouTube. Really, the Instagram is where I post most of my stuff. If you only got Facebook, then you can see a lot of the reels from there too. But yeah, look me up if you're interested in something. But otherwise, look me up if you need any advice. Not all companies have to. I guess you don't have to pay a company to get good advice on maybe what your next hunt is. So,
Absolutely. Nick, thanks again, man. And for everybody else, we really appreciate you. And thanks for taking the ride right here on the Outdoor Drive.